Alright guys, so let's finish up crepes by showing you how to fill them and plate them with certain ideas. And of course, always use your own imagination. I'm going to start off with just an eyeball cheesecake filling like recipe for the Blintz or stuffed crepe. Just about a cup of cream cheese, a little dash of good vanilla, and you could throw anything you want in there, but you want to make sure you got the cheese and you have the butter, a couple tablespoons of sugar. I know it's a little sweet, but it goes a long way. About, I would say, a tablespoon of butter. Most icings have the combination of cream cheese and butter if you're making some kind of a carrot cake or like with that cheesecake icing or even a cheesecake filling. So I got to take those diced strawberries that we saved from before. I'm going to throw in some blackberries. I'm just going to chop them into the mist just to make it nice and light and fruity. Okay, throw a bunch in there. And of course some texture, some of the chopped green pistachios. I'll be using that with mine. And my plating, you can choose to use any kind of nut you choose. Almonds work great as well. Alright, so just mix it up until you get a nice consistency. Chop up those blackberries with your spoon and you should be good to go. And just put it aside for the Blintz or the stuffed crepe. So I finished up all my crepes and I wrapped them in a towel just to keep them warm and not so they don't dry out. So you see one side is the presentation side, which looks like the surface of the moon, and you want to have those on the outside when you fold and when you crimp or whatever you decide to do with the crepes. So first up, I'm going to show you how to do the Suzette sauce version without the alcohol. So we're going to fold them into triangles, but as you can see here, that's incorrect. Put a little sauce down first. That one should be the other way around. You should have the surface of the moon on the outside. So just for an example, unfold it, but be gentle when you're folding because they can tear and they're still a little warm. But you want to have the dark side, or I like to say surface of the moon side. So you put a little Suzette sauce down because you don't want that to toast and get too crispy in the pan. And then we're going to put it on heat with the rest of the sauce and let that reduce down, and that reduction will make even a more syrupy, nice texture. I mean, at this point, we would have added the cognac to make it flambe it, but we're not going to go there. You see it reduced very nicely, and it's going to make like a glaze kind of syrup. This is a very tasty crepe if you choose to do that recipe. It's there, but it's very simple. Just requires, you know, some sugar, fresh orange juice, and a couple other ingredients. See that bubbling action? That's what you're looking for when it comes to reducing down to a syrup. So I think we're pretty good here. I'll start plating this guy up. Alright, so I'm going to plate this in a way it's a little slippery, so you have to be careful. So make space for your plate on the side. And you can see how it has that nice glaze and syrup going on here. Okay, it's a very tasty crepe. So that's the crepe Suzette. Okay, and you see that syrup, now it's cooled down a little bit. You can see how nice and syrupy that is. So let me get my plate and my mise en place for this dish. So I'm just gonna plate them simply just by putting them in the middle. I don't want to get drippings on the plate, so I'm letting some of the sauce come off, and I want to put them one over the other, nice and centered on the plate, and then I'll put some of my other garnishes. Okay. So we're shaking off that excess, but don't throw away that syrup because we're going to top it off with that syrup. Okay, right on the middle, trying to get too much on the sides. Try to keep your rims clean. Don't have a side towel or paper towel and clean the edges. Just give it a swirl so you spread out that sauce a little bit. Alright. So now we're just going to simply garnish with orange twirl, some of our fresh whipped cream. Kind of make a little ball. Usually you put in a piping bag so you can get a nice little design, but I know a lot of you guys don't have piping bags. Just throw one of those on top. The twirl, remember, twist it. Add your little sliced strawberry. And definitely for texture, some pistachio chopped on top. For me, that's my personal favorite, but you can use any kind of nut. I like to use toasted hazelnuts with the strawberry Nutella. I like to use different nuts for different applications. And then take some of just the blueberry sauce and just put it around like that. Just let it drip off the spoon. Okay, just a little bit for contrast of color. And that's the crepe Suzette. Just a cleaner shot there. See, very simple plating. Just one on top of the other. You could put 3 or 4 in the pan, but I just wanted to do 2. So now let's show you how to roll a Blintz, or I like to call it a stuffed crepe, because usually a Blintz is more of a Yiddish kosher kind of food, and this is a totally different take. It's similar, so about 2/3 of the way down, just like you're filling a burrito, not halfway, because you want to be able to roll it nicely and tightly. All right, put a little crunch there. So if you've ever rolled anything crepes, you got to crimp with your pinkies and bring your pinkies into the middle, folding in the sides, and I'm crimping, which means I'm pressing down and gently pulling the crepe towards me, and I'm rolling it really tight, as tight as can be. So there's one there finished, and this applies to other rolled items like burritos or spring rolls and things of that type. So we'll do one more here, and then we'll garnish the plate. This is always a favorite, especially with the blueberry sauce, where you add all those interesting fillings like nuts and fruits and other different things, and it makes it really light and cuts through that heaviness, the richness of the cheesecake filling. So remember, use those pinkies and crimp it. Not crump, but crimp. All right, so we're gonna have nice 2 Blintzes. Then let's plate these guys up. So I got a different bowl for this. I'm gonna do a technique which is called splattering. So I'm not using the berries just yet. I'm just taking some of the juice and just kind of throwing it like all over the place to get that kind of splattery effect. And you could do this with so many different fruits and colors, yellows and greens and blues. Okay. Very good for Halloween, I would think. So, all right, we're gonna put one down, and then we're gonna put one across for some height. Make sure you wipe your rims, make sure they're clean, and then put one over before we start to put the rest of our accoutrement. So now we're gonna go with the berries this time, and I'm gonna let them flow down from the middle so they don't like start going all over the plate. Okay, just mostly the berries this time around. As you can see, I'm trying to keep the juice at bay. Just a little more of that spackling. All right, now what am I gonna do? Whipped cream. Where am I gonna put the whipped cream? I wish I had a piping bag right now. So I'm just gonna put some off to the side. Piping bag makes it easier. Plus you could have a little design. But where am I gonna put this guy? All right, I'll put him over here. We need to have whipped cream on everything. I just put him in there. Add a little sauce. Just a little more blueberry on top just to cover that up. Ideally, I wish I had a piping bag so I could just pipe some here, there, everywhere. All right. So let's add some final garnish, a little drizzle of Nutella just on the Blintz, just for effect and a little flavor. And some more of my pistachios. This one really works well with, you know, candied cashews, things like that. Even honey roasted potatoes, and then someone's taking a picture and ruining my shot. Okay, so that's the stuffed crepe, or Blintz, if you will. The Blintz is usually just stuffed with like a cheesecake or a soft cheese and some blueberry sauce on top. So there's some close-up pictures. Let's just cut it open. Everybody was pigging out on these things. Nothing like having crepes for dinner. But you can see that nice filling is nice and light on the inside. All right, so now we'll do the strawberry Nutella. Okay, so we're gonna put the Nutella on the inside. This came out thick enough, so I'm not gonna just use the regular Nutella. It's pretty much the same thing. And then I have my thin sliced strawberries from the other day. You want them thin so you could fold the crepe. If they're like cut in quarters or chunks, they can tear through the crepe. So you don't want any of that. And put a little dab of whipped cream just for the heck of it. Now this one we're going to do like in a triangle. We're just going to give it 2 folds. Give it a light tap, but be gentle when doing this so you don't tear anything up. And don't worry if it's a little sloppy, we'll cover that up. But I got to move my stuff over. All right. So let's put that Nutella on. You could do a drizzle, you could do dots. There's a method you could do dots like this and then drag a toothpick through it just to get some kind of like a stripe effect. But we'll do more plating design and stuff in class or in person because there's certain materials that we need to use that you guys don't have at home. Okay, so you could use a toothpick and just slide it through to make a design, or you can use a toothpick to make like a solar flare looking design. All right, just clean some of that off if you can. So not 100% perfect, but just showing you some ideas. And just drag the toothpick through. You get something like that, or you could just keep spreading them out like that, making little designs. I mean, you could just take a liquid or a sauce like that and just play with your ideas and squiggles and things like that. Like I said, that's another lesson where we do more plating stuff and just a little more of the sauce. And this sauce you could do with so many different color fruits, and you could get some really bright colors. Like you could have all colors of the rainbow, and it looks really nice, especially when you're plating desserts. Okay, finish this guy off with some whipped cream. I can't watch this over and over again. I'm starving here. All right, put one of our strawberries there. Put some more, a little bit of Nutella on top. And I try never to leave these things unattended in my students because they'll just start squeezing the bottle into their mouths and like drinking it. Nutella just does something to people where they kind of lose their minds. All right, so let's put that on there. Some pistachio, maybe another orange peel, but no, we don't have no room. Maybe we did. You don't want to crowd it if you can't. All right, so that's just a simple plating for the Nutella strawberry crepes. And now I'm going to do one final one. Okay, just the Nutella on the bottom, and then put some of the sauce blotches down. And this is a technique where you could use the spoon a lot. You see me using the spoon for garnishing and swiping. That's a technique that chefs like to use a lot. So this one I'm just going to do 3 swipes. You know. All right, so you kind of got a little design going there. Let's just do a simple stuffed crepe here. And then I'll give you my impression of students when they're unattended with the Nutella in class. So we'll just throw some berries in here. You know, you could do so many different combinations, it's, you know, limitless. So we'll roll this guy up, make a nice tight roll. Crimp, remember, use the pinkies to crimp it in. All right, so now we got it nice and even. All right, so let's put this guy in the middle. Stand him up straight like that, right over that design. And then just a little bit of Nutella on top. A little bit more of that juice, just to drop it from high above. Okay. Sometimes symmetry doesn't look so good. Sometimes you want to have asymmetrical platings and not everything be even. So this splotching technique is actually something that's newer and picking up more steam. All right, now this is my impression of y'all when I leave the Nutella unattended near the students. This is what you guys do. You guys make me crazy. I've seen you guys licking straight out of the jar. Hey man, I love Nutella too, but that's madness. All right, thanks for watching, and enjoy. I hope I've inspired you to make some of your own dishes.